Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 209, and this time out, we are at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, Michigan. It's lined for football because it's game number 10 of the 1968 Minnesota Vikings project with Momentum Football from Downey Games. Before we get started, let's take a look at the Viking season so far. So, their record stands at 3-4-2. They're coming off a big win, impressive defensive showing against the Packers at home, a game that they won 35-0. Now they are on the road playing the Lions. In real life, the Vikings won this game 13-6. And the previous meeting of these two teams in this replay back in week 4 in Minnesota was a 21-21 tie. All right, so we are ready to get underway here. First thing we're going to do is determine who gets first possession. We'll say blue die is the Lions, yellow die is the Vikings. Tie goes to the home team, or excuse me, the team with momentum, and that would be Minnesota because Detroit has a -1 momentum at home, just like the Vikings do at home. So the Vikings start this game on the road with a little bit of momentum. All right, so it's going to be the Vikings getting the ball first. Now, neither team has the opportunity to return a kickoff for a touchdown, so we don't have to worry about that, but I have to do a better job of marking one off the clock for kickoffs. I've been having problems with that. All right. I should also mention before we actually get going here, done the rolls to determine starters in the positions that require them. Joe Kapp gets the start at quarterback for Minnesota. King Hill's going to be doing the punting duties. And Bill Munson is the starting quarterback for the Lions. And Jerry DePoyster will be doing the kicking duties. All right, so here we go. First drive for the Vikings. We have a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. And we have an 8 on the blue and yellow die. That does not fall within Detroit's defensive control. So we're going to be looking at a 46 on Minnesota's offense. And a 46 is a field goal attempt. Oh, got to get the time. We got 10, 12, 18. So that would be at 12-18 in the first. And we're going to have a field goal attempt from Fred Cox. And the field goal will be good on an 11-46. So it is good. So we get 8 plus 5 is 13 plus 17 is a 30-yard field goal. So the field goal is good. And it's a 30-yarder. 4, 8, 11. Excuse me. 4, 6, 8. 11. No, I'm sorry. It's a 28-yard field goal. And the Vikings take a 3-0 lead. Now, because that field goal was to give the Vikings a lead, they go to a +2. Okay, so now we'll kick off for the Lions and continue on here in the first. Okay, we got a 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. A 3 does fall within the Vikings' defensive control, and a 42 is a punt. And that will be at 6, 8, 11, 10, 11. It's a punt. And punting is going to be Jerry DePoyster. He's doing kicking and the punting duties for the Lions. Let's see. Have a return on a 43-66. And so there's going to be a return. And if we roll an 11 or 12, we'll go on from there, but we don't. So the Vikings just take possession of the ball after the punt and start their next drive with a 3-0 lead. Okay, we got a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. got 10, 13, 17, so it's 7-17 in the first. We have an 8. That does not fall within Detroit's defensive control, so we're going to look at a 63 on the Vikings offense, and that is a touchdown pass. That's going to be Joe Cap. 2. 26. Gene Washington with another one. So Cap to Washington. And those aren't doubles, so it turns out to be a 6-yard pass. Do the extra point for Fred Cox. And that is also good. Good. And the Vikings now lead 10-0 here in the first. And they maintain their momentum. So we take another one off the clock for kickoff. And the next possession for the Lions. Got a 6 and a 3 for 9. Off the clock. 10, 15, 18. 3:58. All right, so we have an 11, which does fall within Minnesota's defensive control. So 34 on the Vikings defensive control. Results is another punt. And we'll see if there's a return for DePoyster. No return this time, so the ball either went into the end zone or out of bounds. So Minnesota takes possession still here late in the first quarter with a 10-0 lead. And we have a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. $10, 13, 15. 1:15 in the first. And we got a 5. That does fall within Detroit's defensive control, and a 46. And the 46 is going to be a field goal attempt for Fred Cox. And let's see if that's good. On the roll of a 26. That's another good field goal for Cox. And let's see actually I should have rolled all 4 die. So that's 12, 15, 16, plus 17 is 33. So that's a 33-yard field goal for Cox, and it's now 13-0. They already had the lead, so that does not change momentum, but the Vikings are already at a +2 anyway. So Detroit gets the next possession, and we take 1 off the clock for the kickoff, and they now trail 13-0. But we're still in the first quarter. A lot of scoring in the first. Okay, we have a 4 and a 2 for 6 off the clock. It's going to take us into the second. 6, 9, 12. Be 13:52 in the second. Got a 6. That does fall within Minnesota's defensive control, and a 33 is another punt. So far the Vikings defense is repeating their performance from last week against the Packers. Jerry DePoyster's punt is returnable, but not for a touchdown. So the Vikings take over, still with +2 momentum and a 13-0 lead. early here in the second. Okay, 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. And we got 12, 16, 17, 11, 37. We have a 7. On a roll of a 7 on the blue and yellow die, that means we go by momentum, and a momentum is a +2 for the Vikings. At 46, we're going to look on the Vikings' offensive control factors, and it is another field goal attempt for Fred Cox. All right. And that field goal is good. Just barely sneaks it in there. And that is 27 plus 17. It's a 44-yard field goal. Just within his long range. If it would have been more than 45, the rules state that the field goal can't be longer than the longest one listed on the team card. So it's a 44-yarder for Fred Cox. And it's now 16-0 in favor of the Vikings. They still have a +2 on momentum. And the Lions receive the kickoff. We take 1 off the clock for that. And they start their next drive, trailing 16-0. All right, so we have a 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. 6, 9, 10. That's at 9:30. 3 does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. So 43 off their drive result on the defensive side is another punt. And we'll roll for the return for the Poister's punt. And it is returnable. Yeah, but no touchdown. So the Vikings take over again. And defense is playing well. I guess I should have put down the score in the first period. It's 13 for the Vikings in the first. All right, so Minnesota's next possession. Got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. 11, 15, 16. That's 7-16 in the second. And we have a 5. That does fall within the Lions' defensive control, and a 56. So we're going to look at the Lions' defense, 56. And here comes Fred Cox again. All right, so Cox's field goal is good. And that's 16, 20, 37-yarder. Cox now 4 for 4 in this one, and it's now 19-0. Here in the second, Detroit. Another possession. Take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And see if they can get on the board here before halftime. Got a 6 and a 3 for 9. $11, 14, 18, 358. And let's see, we have a 10. That does fall within the Vikings' defensive control, and a 53. And a 53 is going to be a field goal attempt for Jerry DePoister. All right. DePoister only makes a field goal on an 11-21. And so this one is no good. Almost blocked. 66 would have been a block, but we got a 64. So it's no good, and the Vikings keep them off the board. And a missed field goal would change momentum, but the Vikings already have the +2. And you just take possession of the ball with time winding down here in the second. 19-0 Vikings lead. We got a 3 and a 1 for a 4 off the clock. 6, 8, 9. 2:29 in the second. We have a 4 that does fall within Detroit's defensive control, and a 23. And a 23 is a Joe Cap interception. So finally something positive. Let's see if it's returned for a touchdown. No, it is not. We've got a 45, and that interception is by Mike Wager. That does finally shift momentum back to the Lions 1. So it's +1 for the Vikings with 2 minutes and 29 seconds, or 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half. We got a 4 and a 2 for 6. Seven, 10, 12. This will be at 32 seconds. Got a 6. That falls within the Vikings' defensive control, and a 33 is another punt. And that's how the first half is going to end. Well, actually, no. We do have to play out this last possession. And let's see, we have a 6 and a 2 for 8. And time runs out for the Vikings, so that's the end of half. The Vikings leading 19-0. So they still have a +1 on momentum. And take 1 off the clock for the second half kickoff. The Lions are going to get the ball. See, we have a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. Ten, 13, 17 is 11:57 in the third. And we have an 8 that does not fall within Minnesota's defensive control, so we're looking at 36 on the Lions offense, and that is a punt. The poister. And there's no return on that. The Vikings just take over. Five and a 1 for 6. 6, 7, 10, 9:50 in the third. And we have a 6 that does fall within Detroit's defensive control, so a 31 is a quarterback sack. And that sack was for 6 yards. So that halts the Vikings' drive, and it takes momentum to neutral. All right. Vikings lead 19-0. We have a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. Got a 4. Does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. And a 62 is going to be a touchdown run. Oh, let's see, 9, 10, 12 At 7:32, the Lions get on the board. It's a touchdown run. And scoring that touchdown will be Tom Nowatzki, and it'll be a 2-yard run. Yards. And the extra point from DePoyster is good. And it's now 19-7. And momentum has shifted in favor of the Lions. So we take one off the clock for the kickoff to the Vikes. And here's their next possession. We got a 5 and a 1 for 6. 10, 11, 15, 5:15 in the third. We have a 9. That does not fall within Detroit's defense control. So 15 on the Vikings offense is another Joe Cap interception. And let's see if that's returned. It's not returned for a touchdown, but it will be 24. Lem Barney. And now momentum's a +2 for the Lions. Let's see if they can capitalize and cut into this lead some more. Got a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. And 12, 18. That's 2:38. And we have a 10. That falls within Minnesota's defensive control. And a 26 is a quarterback sack. So the Vikings get Munson. And that sack is a 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And that shifts my momentum back 1. It's now +1 for the Lions. And the Vikings have their next possession, leading 19-7. Got a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. And that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter. Well, near the end. It's 10, 12, 15. So with 15 seconds left in the third, this next possession takes place. We got a 9. That does not fall within Detroit's defensive control. And a 42 is a key pass. Now, several things can happen here. So we have to look at the key pass for Joe Cap and roll a 63. And a 63 is another, make it number 3, Joe Cap interception. And that interception is not returned for a touchdown, but it is intercepted by Bill Swain. Cap is trying to let the Lions back in this game single-handedly. All right, that shifts the momentum back to a +2 for the Lions as we enter the fourth quarter. And let's see what they can do here. Got a 6 and a 4 for 10 off the clock. (10, 16, 22). So it'll be at 11:42 in the fourth. We have a 12 That does fall within the Vikings' defensive control, and a 46 is a key penalty. Now, on a key penalty, it favors the team that has momentum, and that is the Lions. So essentially, this key penalty allows them to continue their possession. And I'm not sure about the timing. I gotta look that up here. Have to pardon me on that. Okay, so they get a free dice roll on their offense. And let's see, a 23 is a quarterback sack. So, and the time is 3 off the clock. 1, 2. The lowest of the die, or excuse me, it should be a 2. So that one's not there yet. It's the lowest die on the reroll. So at 12, 15, 17, at 10:57, the Vikings defense comes up with a sack of Munson for 12 yards and shifts momentum back to a +1 for the Lions. All right. And here go the Vikings with their next possession. 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13. 9-13. And we have an 8 that does not fall within defensive control, and a 41 is a key run. 41 on Minnesota's offense is a key run. Okay, so key run. First, we got to see who makes the attempt. That's going to be 42. That's Bill Brown. And then we'll roll the 2 die again, and we get a 53. And that's going to result in a punt. So the key run may have gotten a first down, but continuing on, the Vikings can't get another first down and have to punt it away. So we are down to about 9 minutes to go in the game. Vikings lead 19-7. We got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. And we got 11, 12, 15, 6:53 in the game. Got an 11, falls within Minnesota's defensive control, and a 13 is a fumble. And Vikings can't return a fumble for a touchdown. This fumble is recovered by Wally Hillenberg, linebacker. But it does shift momentum, and momentum is back to neutral. Vikings have another possession. All right. And we got a 4 and a 1 for 5 off the clock. And we have a 2 that does fall within Detroit's defensive control, and a 41 is a punt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 5:07. Vikings have to punt. Momentum stays the same. In the third quarter, we had a touchdown from Detroit. Nothing for the Vikings. All right, so Lions have the ball again, running out of time. Got a 5 and a 3 for 8 off the clock. 6, 10, 15, 235 in the game. And we have a 7. So that goes based on momentum. Momentum is 0, so it favors the home team. 53 on the Lions offense is a field goal attempt. Now, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to try to go for the first down. And I have to refer to the rules because it's not something I do too often here. Team may push for a touchdown when behind by 8 points. Oh, they can't do it. They're down by 12. All right, so they got to do the field goal attempt. And the Poister is only good on an 11 to 21. And it is no good. So you got a field goal attempt. No good. Momentum shifts towards the Vikings. And the Lions are running out of time. Okay, we got a 6 and a 4 for 10 off the clock. And the game is over. Vikings will run it out and win this one 19 to 7. So it was all Minnesota in the first half. And you can see after that interception by Wager, it neutralized things, and a couple sacks to Joe Sack, and most of the second half the momentum stayed either neutral or in Detroit's favor, and they shut the Vikings down in the second half. Unfortunately, the Vikings defense held, unfortunately for the Lions, the Vikings defense held them to 1 touchdown. So the Vikings are going to pick up another win. And I didn't mention it, but if you take a look at that results schedule from the beginning of the video, for the Vikings to match their in real life 8-win season, the Vikings have to win out. So they pick up this win and get to 500. That makes them 4-4-2, and they remain on the road and go to Baltimore to play the Colts in Game 11. Well, that's going to do it for this one. If you hung out with me, I appreciate it, and I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.